It's a pleasure to be amongst all of you and, to discuss. More than teach, I always treat these moments as great learning experiences for myself. Because it's very seldom that, from the isolation of a writer, we are able to pull ourselves out into an audience which is as big as this, to a group of people who are so determined and driven to come into our trade, and who have all the energy and the good ideation that we require. So I am more or less a learner here, and not much of a teacher. So I really expect a lot of you to send me back home with tons and tons of stuff which I'd like to be able to utilize for my own growth out of this particular session. Also, one of the facts that, one of the most exciting parts of being with all of you is that I believe you're a mix of people who are going to be doing various different things in filmmaking. Some of you are aspiring editors, and some of you are writers, and some of you are aspiring filmmakers. I don't know what more there may be. There are some sound students here as well, I believe. They're actors, okay. So, talking to an audience which is a mix of such varied, things is obviously going to be much more gratifying for me. Because as a writer, I've always really either been alone on one side of the fence or been in a group of only writers. So it's very rare that you get to meet a mix of people who are coming from all aspects. And one of the major things that, has always concerned me as a writer from the time I started was that a writer has to be able to, in whatever he's saying on that piece of paper or through, the keyboard, be able to convince the actor, who's the last person translating that experience which is on paper, has to be able to convince the actor, which often and most often, a writer is never really going to come in touch with. A writer is, at the end of the day, maximum in touch with a producer, at first in touch with nobody, because I think one of the greatest things all of you probably already know is that there is no money for development. So a writer works in isolation and in poverty. That's one thing that all of you who are aspiring writers have to know. But that's not the case only with writers, it's also with editors, actors, directors. Till you don't really come to that point where someone's convinced that, yes, you're going to do a good job and they are ready to pay you for it, there's a huge struggle which is your own investment. And addressing that part of it in script writing would be really, one of the aspects of what I'd like to touch upon before we go into talking about characters and romances and things. And I think I'll talk from the perspective of a writer, but all of you coming from different aspects of filmmaking will also relate with it. So essentially what happens is, when we are aspiring individuals and, you are struggling for someone to recognize your talent, there's a huge struggle in it, which is very frustrating. But here is where is the wealth for writers. That frustration, that, pain of convincing people that, see, I'm talented. Within all of that is so much of wealth, of experience, which if you don't know of it, you will not realize it and you will not use it. And in most of my writing, a lot of people used to come and tell me when I was writing Tara or the latest Millie, when I made White Noise, where does this come from? Now it was very difficult to tell them that this comes from what you all do to me, So it's about really realizing that that wealth, that depth really comes out of the struggle that you are going through. And that's the moments and those are the experiences that you need, not necessarily to write and keep aside, because they'll anyway come back when you're putting it in a script. But realize them, make note of them in your minds, and put them away. That's the wealth, the power, and the drive you will give to each one of your characters when you are developing them. And that is the power each actor will give to his character when he's studying his character to act on screen or in theater. That's the power a director will give to his film when he's making it. And that's the power that an editor will give to the storytelling. Because editing and script writing is very connected. Not that direction and script writing is not. Not that production and script writing is not. But the first narration is told by the script writer. The second narration of the same story is a perspective taken by the director. The third narration of a same story is taken by the actor. And the final narration that goes to the audience is told by the editor. So that's where a script basically connects just all 4 stages of filmmaking. And that's where the film finally reaches an audience. And the audience has its own narration eventually. So they go and trash your film, or they go and say it's a great film. And then they tell the story to each and every one they meet. So that's the final narration. So that's how far a film really travels. And as a scriptwriter, it's not necessary that the film that will be made eventually will be the script you wrote. And that's another very, very important aspect for every scriptwriter to learn. I've seen in our industry, and I've gone through it myself as well, where you have a piece of paper and you've kind of written a script, and you are stuck to words and you're stuck to scenes, and you get damn angry when on your set you see a director making a small change, and then you get damn angry when an actor, while translating those words, decides to not say a couple of words, decides to change the lines or turn them around. And then you get damn angry when you see, editors cutting off scenes and throwing them out saying this is not working. But that's wrong. It's not your place. Once a script has been written, it has been approved, you've passed it on, you got paid for it. As a writer, you have to start enjoying the experience.